Listen, I'm not a scientist. I decided to go into broadcasting in English and talk words for a living. That was what I chose to do. But have you ever heard of the chaos theory? It's very simple. Basically, what it means in layman's terms is when the present determines the future, but the approximate present doesn't approximately determine the future. And that's kind of where we are right now when it comes to the college football playoff rankings. If the season were to end today, it'd be pretty clear that four teams stand above the rest. But what is the ultimate chaos scenario for the college football playoff committee when it comes time to vote for the right four? If you're brand new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. I talk NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, but I love talking college football. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, this is the channel made for you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Tell your friends, your family, your sister, your pastor, your mortal enemies, your best of bros about this channel. Give the video a thumbs up, and let's talk college football. So, chaos ensuing for the college football playoff committee. It could happen. It's very few far-fetched in between, but it could happen. So how does it occur is really where you're coming from. As of this morning, 9 teams still have a legit shot to make the CFP in 2023. There are the 5 undefeated teams, and then you have, naturally, Oregon, Alabama, Texas, and then you throw in Louisville. So what would occur for there to be chaos? Pretty simple, and it is plausible, but let's just go ahead and break it down. Everyone continues down the pathway of undefeated minus one team. So that would either be Michigan or Ohio State because they still have to play each other on November 25th. And that's looking like a rude awakening for one of these two rosters. I don't know what version of Michigan we're going to get. But if it's that pissed off as all hell Jim Harbaugh running it down your throat and just showing you pure dominance, yeah, that's probably a win for you. But then again, Ohio State has Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michigan doesn't. So maybe that's a victory for the Buckeyes. Either way, one of those teams is going to lose, but the other one stays undefeated. Florida State stays undefeated. Georgia runs the table. And Washington wins its last 2 games. Then comes conference championship weekend, where everyone matches up with each other. So Oregon would go to the Pac-12 title game. Alabama's already clinched its spot in Atlanta to face off against Georgia. Louisville continues to do dominance, and they play in Charlotte against Florida State. And it doesn't really matter who Texas plays as long as they stay undefeated. And it doesn't matter who Michigan plays or Ohio State plays because they're just the Big Ten East winner. And everyone loses. That's what happens. So Louisville ends up beating Florida State in Charlotte. Oregon ends up beating Washington in Las Vegas. Alabama ends up beating Georgia in Atlanta. Texas wins against whoever they play, and they're now 12-1. And somehow, some way, Ohio State or Michigan lose to Iowa. Well, now you're left with a bunch of one-loss teams, no undefeateds, and teams that are going to have to decide what really matters at this point. That's chaos. That is pure damn chaos for the college football playoff committee. Because in one breath, you could say, well, we take the division winners. We take easily the conference winners. So Louisville would get in. And then Ohio State wouldn't get in, or Michigan wouldn't get in. Texas would get in, Oregon would get in, and Alabama would get in. But then are you justifiably saying, well, they won the conference, but they did lose a game during the regular season. So how do we justify that? Where Georgia ran the table and they defeated everybody on their schedule, including a top 10 Ole Miss, including a top 15 Missouri team, and including a top 25 Tennessee team. The same thing would go for Florida State, who beat a top 10 LSU team, who beat a ranked Duke team, and handled business against everybody else and was undefeated. Washington had arguably one of the tougher schedules that a lot of people did not think was going to happen this year, and they end up losing to a team they already beat. And then, of course, you have the other conversation of, well, what would we do if we just take the 4 best teams? How do you justify that? How do you justify who are the actual 4 best teams for the college football playoff when everyone has one loss, when everyone lost to each other in some way, shape, or form, and it's not justifiably true that every conference is the same? If you were to ask me right now, I think the ACC, as good as it's been this year and as fun as it's been this year, maybe isn't at the same level as the SEC or the Pac 12 or the Big Ten. And the Big Ten, once again, always features the same teams at the very top showing dominance. And then they just basically tiddlywink their way past the other competition. So Penn State is always middle tier. Ohio State and Michigan always are top tier. And everyone else falls in line right behind. Ohio State beat everybody minus Michigan. Michigan beat everybody minus Ohio State. And Ohio State and Michigan both beat Penn State. So that's kind of where we are. It's not justifiably fair to say that this year everyone would be okay. The best case scenario for anybody in the College Football Playoff Committee would hope that all 4 teams that are undefeated and whoever the hell wins between Michigan and Ohio State remains that way. So Florida State ends up running the table through Charlotte. Georgia ends up running the table through Atlanta. Whoever wins the Big Ten runs the table through Indianapolis. And Washington runs the table against Oregon in Las Vegas. And after that, those are your 4 best teams because those are the 4 teams that are undefeated. But if chaos does ensue, the craziest outcome would be to see every team stay undefeated and then lose in the conference championship. Because at that point, it'd be justifiably fair to bring up conversations of does regular season matter or does conference championship games matter? Texas right now won't have Jonathan Brooks for the rest of the year, but if they run the table and handle business with CJ Baxter as their lead tailback, isn't that just as impressive? Isn't it just as impressive to see Alabama, after losing to Texas in week 2, basically run the show and show dominance and basically change their entire outcome and offensive perspective because of it? Wouldn't it be that way? To me, this is the craziest year in college football, mainly because of if there ever was a season where we needed to have potentially expansion for the CFP, this would be it. I don't think that there are 9 teams that can win the CFP. I don't think that there are 7 teams that are probably good enough to win a national championship. But if there is chaos occurring, wouldn't we want to be able to see it with our own 2 eyes unfold? Wouldn't it be fair to say that you did your job during the regular season and just because you lost in early December doesn't take you out of the race? That's kind of where we are right now. So the biggest chaos scenario for the College Football Playoff Committee would to see everyone win, minus, of course, Ohio State or Michigan, and then they all lose in conference championship weekend. It doesn't seem unlikely, but never say never in college football. We never thought that we'd see Lincoln Riley out in Sunnyside, California, losing with Caleb Williams. Yet here we are, and they're sitting with 4 losses on their schedule. Never say never in this sport. Chaos is always occurring, and it could occur early in December too. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.